You're listening to
Catholic Sprouts,
the daily podcast for Catholic kids that strives to plant seeds of faith.
Hey there, Sprouts. Today is Thursday, September 19th, 2019. This week on the Catholic Sprouts podcast, we have been talking about friendship, how to choose good friends for ourselves, but also be good friends for others. We've already talked about three important aspects of a good friendship. Number one, a shared faith in Jesus Christ. Number two, complete trust. And number three, a willingness to forgive. Today, we're going to move on to a fourth important characteristic of friendship, and that is generosity. Now, to really understand how far we can go with generosity, we are going to look at our two saints and the remarkable friendship that they shared. We've already talked about them this week, but we're going to talk about them again. And these two friends were St. Clare of Assisi and St. Francis of Assisi. Now, both of these two individuals lived at the same time in Italy. They were both from fairly wealthy, fairly well-to-do families. And they both decided to radically follow Jesus Christ despite the fact that their families didn't really want them to. Their families had plans for them, that they would continue the family business or make a really good marriage and live an ordinary life like they had grown up, enjoying all the good things in life and being part of the upper class in Italy. But both of them looked at this life and decided that they wanted to live differently, to live radically for God. They wanted to give everything away, not only their possessions, but their status. And for St. Clare, even ordinary life. St. Clare started an order of nuns that were cloistered and are still cloistered to this day. To be cloistered means that you choose freely to enter a monastery and remain there. In fact, if your family comes to visit you, you can only see them through a grate, meaning through kind of a fence-like thing. Now, it might sound like prison, but it's more of a freedom. You have been freed from the stress of ordinary life, and you are free to live a life of prayer. So both St. Francis and St. Clare radically gave everything that they had to God. And they not only did this to God, but they did this with each other and with every person they met. They show us just how far we can go with generosity. Now, in an ordinary friendship and the friendships that you are forging in your life, generosity is so important, but it will look different perhaps than the generosity of St. Clare and St. Francis. We can be generous with our friends with our time. Let's say that our friend really needs to talk about something, but we're tired or we had other plans. Changing what we thought would happen and giving our time to our friends is an important act of generosity. Also, let's say that our friend is in trouble and needs some money. Maybe we had plans for what we were going to do with this money, but instead we see they need it, and so therefore I will put their needs above mine. And that, my friends, is the real key to generosity in friendship. Seeing another person's needs and putting their needs above your own. Giving generously of what you have to them because you choose what is good for them over what is good for you. Now, we should never be with friends that take, and never give and make us feel terrible about ourselves. And we know that a good friendship, we will be generous with them and they will be generous with us. That is how we see that it is a good and beautiful friendship. But I have a challenge for you today, Sprouts. Oftentimes, we feel like we're the only one that's going to be generous and our generosity will never be returned. Therefore, I should just be selfish and not share anything ever. But if we get into this cycle, then no one will ever be generous. So my challenge for you, Sprouts, is to be generous first. If you are in a friendship where you don't really share anything, you don't really make time for each other, well, it's not much of a friendship. So I challenge you to go out on a limb and be generous first. Maybe you have some candy that you have saved and you decide to share that with your friend first, taking a chance that they might not be generous with you next. Well, if they aren't, well, that is hard, but know that it is important to be generous, to be like Christ, and to take that risk, because taking that risk of generosity is the only way that we will build beautiful friendships.
That's it for Catholic Sprouts today. We'll be back tomorrow, but until then, continue to grow in your faith and truly sprout into the beautiful creation that God intended you to be. Just one more thing, Sprouts. You are invited to come check out the brand new Rosary board book sets from Catholic Sprouts. This is an exciting project that we have been working on for the last 8 months, and they're finally available. To check them out and all of the beautiful illustrations, simply head to catholicsprouts.com/rosary board book, or just click the link in the show notes.